So what are the two most important numbers that will make your business grow that you need to keep a pulse of what is going to make your business grow? And I'm going to talk tonight about the two numbers that we need to look at weekly, monthly, all the time, right? Because when we look at these two numbers, we will be able to see what is going to make our pressure washing business or our Christmas light business grow. And I'm going to put both of them in there, and I'm going to talk about both pressure washing and Christmas lights, because the hardest part of running a business is the business side. You know, when I get people starting pressure washing and Christmas light business, they all want to come for the day of the doing the thing, right? They all want to come and learn about pressure washing and the chemicals, and they want to learn everything about how the pressure washer works and how to hook up the pressure washer and all that. And they want to learn about Christmas lights, and they want to learn about the bulbs and the wire and the thing. And what I always tell people is those are the two things that are the simplest things ever, right? Those are the two things that are the two simplest things ever. So my question to you guys that are on here now, what are your thoughts are the two most important numbers that you should keep an eye on weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly? What is your all's thoughts of what that should be? And I want to see it down in the comments while I keep talking here. And the other thing is how are you guys doing on this Sunday night? Let me know what y'all got going on and what you got planned for this week. But these are the things that as I do coaching calls, I always want to know where you are at in these two numbers. And we'll talk about why it is so important about these two numbers and to help you grow your business. So I want to say my book of the week. I actually just got done reading this book. I want to pull it up here. I don't have it up here because this is a great book. This is right up there with Think and Grow Rich. It was actually the book right before Think and Grow Rich. And so this is a great book that I just read not too long ago. I read it again, if I can get it up here. But it is called The Law of Success, right? I want you all to be successful. And so this is a book that I highly recommend you to read. It is a great book. It is a book that you definitely want to check out. It is a book that will help you grow your business, because my goal is how can I help you grow your business, right? I want you all to be successful, and I want you to grow your business. I know that sometimes people always say whatever, but this is definitely something that I want you to look at and how to be successful. So this book that I'm giving you was actually written right before the book of Think and Grow Rich. It's a great book. I highly recommend this book. It is one that won't let you down, right? So with that, we got some F-bomb in the house. What's up? Average and Profit, those are two good ones. Big Time is in the house. Matt Maycroft, how are you doing, Matt? Four Brothers Pressure Washing, what's up? Mr. Anthony, what's up, guys? Average, Ticket, and Price, them are some good ones. Cost spent, average coming in, profits, them are good ones. Big difference between gross and income and net and income. Yep, and those are all great things of what we need to look at. So, you know, when I always thought of this when I was in business, when I had my business to get to $1 million, in 2014 was the year that I really took aim of looking at what my average ticket was and what was my close rate and what was I doing to get leads, right? Because when I started figuring this out, 2015, 2016, and 2017, when 2017 came along, this is how I was able to get to $1 million business. This is how I was able to get 4 trucks to $1 million business. And so it's important that we understand these two numbers and we get there by looking at what we need to do to be able to get there. A lot of times we don't always know what we need to be able to get there, right? Sometimes it's one of those things that we look at and we try to figure out what we need to do, and this is the things that we need to do. So I did do a little PowerPoint here that we will show here. And you was right. You are definitely right about the difference between profits last year and this year, right? Because, you know, you can make all the big numbers all you want. You can go out there and make $1 million. I've seen people make $1 million and they spent $987,000 to make $1 million. Yes, they're $1 million business, but they really didn't make $1 million. The profit wasn't there. They didn't know how to do it. They were really heavy in employees. And in fact, I had a call with one of my good friends that coaches. He coaches people too, and he's like, Jason, we just had a guy come in and he made $1 million, but he spent $1,000,001 to be able to get to it, right? And so, yes, big numbers are awesome, but honestly, you know, the bottom end of your number is the most important number that we need to keep track of, right? You know, yes, we can have a gross of $1 million, but if our profit, our bottom line, our profit is only $100, it doesn't do us no good. And so a lot of times you will hear me say you will be the most profitable when you're on the truck, right? You can make $200,000 on your truck. And to be able to make that $200,000 by yourself, you're going to have to get up there to about the 1.2 million to be able to have everybody else so that you can make your $200,000 at the end. Because even if you do $200,000 on the truck, you got cost involved in there, but you will probably come home with $150,000, right? But when you start growing and you start scaling, things start getting a little different. And so that is the importance here. But these are the two things that I believe is your average ticket and your close rate, right? When we can figure out what our average ticket is and what we can figure out our average close rate, these are times that we can do this. And I see a lot of people. I had a person that I coached, and he was at 90% close rate. And I'm like, you got to raise your prices, right? Because you're leaving money on the table. And I know a lot of times we don't feel that way, but I promise you we are leaving money on the table. So our average ticket, right? If our average ticket, and how do I get my average ticket? Well, I take how many jobs I did this month, and then I take how much money I made and I divide the two, and that will give me my average ticket. A lot of times I'll hear people say, I'll ask, what's your average ticket? And they'll say, oh, you know, it's anywhere from $600 to $1,000. You don't know your numbers. If you tell me $600 to $1,000, you don't know what your average ticket is, right? You're guessing. If you say between $700 and $800, you don't know what your average ticket is. And I will promise you, when you find out what the average ticket is, it's probably not in between the $700 and $800. It's either going to be really high or really low. And so this is how we can figure out what is our average ticket. And then the other one is our close rate. Jason, and the one guy I had, he's like, my close rate is like 90%. I'm like, yep, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. And so I know a lot of times we don't want to be able to do this, but you can see here, example, a $400 ticket with a 90% close rate is $36,000 from 90 jobs, compared to $800 close rate at $36,000. So would you rather close half the jobs and make the same amount of money, do half the traveling, half the headaches, and make the same amount of money as being at 90%? Right? And so a lot of times it's hard to get this concept. And, you know, I know lots of coaches out here, and, you know, my buddy, Ryan Lee, he's one of raise your prices, right? Raise your prices. And I'm the same way. And the reason why I want you to raise your prices is because you're not making money if your average ticket is $400 and you got to go do all of these things, right? If you got to go do 57 jobs, you know, one of my buddies that made $1 million, one of my mentorees that made $1 million this year, his average ticket was around, or his close rate was around 30%, right? Some people would say, man, that's too low, Jason. But his average ticket was like $1,200-$1,300, right? Because when you get your average ticket up, you do less work and you make more money. And it's a lot easier to get to $1 million with an average ticket of $1,300 than it is $400, because you're probably not going to get there. And the likelihood of you being profitable under the $400 is very unlikely that it's going to happen. And you might say, well, Jason, you just don't understand. I do understand. I promise you I understand. The businesses that I see succeed and that are successful start raising their prices because they get their average ticket up. And when you get their average ticket up, a lot of things are going to go a lot better for you in the end, right? So, the importance of the average ticket. Again, work less, same revenue, right? We can work less and have half the work. That's the important key of it. We don't have to have and pay so much in labor. We don't have to pay in fuel. We don't have to pay in chemicals. We don't have to pay for all of those extra things that are going to break down because we're using the equipment twice as long. And so this is why it is important that we get our average ticket up. More time for higher value activities, right? And here's the other thing. If you have a lot of customers, then the problem that you're going to have is you got a lot more problems. But if we can raise our ticket, do half the jobs, then that means our 80-20 rule comes into effect too. That only our 20% that are going to call us and complain about us, or 10%, is way less at 45 jobs than it is at 90 jobs, right? And this is why it is so important that we get this and we understand this. Now, average tickets for pressure washing. I've got a lot of people with an average ticket of anywhere from about $800 to $1,200, right? So I put $1,000 on here. Now, I get it. Sometimes it's hard to be able to get this for pressure washing. I understand, but don't tell me you can't get this in your area. You know, I've got one friend in one area that is getting a $1,200 average ticket, and another guy that's a friend, he can only get about $700-$800 a ticket. But what's the difference? Well, they're literally in the same area. You know, I got another guy down in Indiana, and his average ticket is like $1,400, and the guy right down the road from him, his average ticket is only like $700-$800. There's no difference. They're literally servicing the same area. Now, are they marketing different? Yes, right? The guy that's marketing for the higher end is marketing to those customers. Now, is his close rate as high as the other guy? No, it's not. But you know what? It doesn't matter how high your it doesn't matter if you can do less work and do more of it, right? And Christmas lights, you should be able to get anywhere from $1,500 plus for an average ticket of jobs. Do I have people out here getting $400 average tickets in Christmas lights? Yes, there is people that do that. And you know what? They can do 1,000 jobs and make $400,000, but they're working their tail off. There's a lot more chance of someone falling off the roof. There's a lot more chance of problems that are going to go wrong. And so why would I want to do that many jobs, 1,000 jobs, and make $400,000 when I could do I could raise my prices 3 times and do 1/3 of the jobs and make the same amount of money. And this is what I'm trying to get to you guys so that you understand that the average ticket is definitely something that is very, very important. And I know people will tell me you can't get that in my area, but I promise you, you can get that in your area. You can happen to get this in your area. So how do we get our average tickets up? Well, we bundle services: house wash, driveway, deck. It should have been more than $800 because the deck should be $400 itself, right? But we're not doing house washes for $400. You know, DJ's lowest house right now is over $400. This is a less than a 1,500 square foot house is more than $400, right? Christmas lights. We're going to do the other thing with the services. I would do window cleaning, exterior window cleaning, right? if we want to get a $1,000 average ticket, we need to offer them a $1,500 to a $2,000 job. You might say, Jason, there is no way in hell you can get a $2,000 job. I promise you, you can, right? You charge 30 cents to 35 cents a square foot for house wash. You charge 30 cents to 35 cents for driveway cleaning. You charge $2 a foot for deck cleaning. You charge 12, 15 cents for window washing, or a minimum of $200-$300. Guess what? I just got you to a $3,000 house or $2,000 house on a 2,500 square foot house, right? That is how you're able to get there, right? Christmas lights. Well, we charge $8 to $10 a foot. Jason, you can't get that in my area. Bullcrap. I don't believe that one bit, because I've got people that will tell me that, but I've got people in that same area that is getting it. And that's what I want to hit on, is you can get it. I promise you. It's amazing, right? Front of the house, a wreath, a $500 wreath, $400 wreath, ground lights, $8, $10 a foot. Guess what? We just got an average ticket of $2,000. I've got people that I have taught and coached got a average ticket of over $2,800 average ticket. And that's not a bunch of commercials. That's just residential houses. Right? So don't tell me you can't get it. And I've got same people in that same area will tell me you can't get that in my area, Jason. There's just too many Christmas light installers. There's just too many pressure washers. Well, you know what? Quit worrying about those too many pressure washers and worry about the one pressure washer or the one Christmas light guy that you need to worry about. And who is that? That's you. That's you. You need to worry about you and quit worrying about everybody else, because when you're worrying about everybody else, you're not worrying about you, and you won't grow. I promise you, right? You won't grow. So we want to do tiered pricing, good, better, worse, right? Tiered pricing, good, better, worse. Give them 3 options. This is how you're able to grow your business and make it successful. Package increase average ticket by 35%. This is why we want to be able to do this, right? Optimize your close rate, right? This is for pressure washing. You want to aim for 30 to 50% close rate. Over 50%, time to raise your prices. Means you're too cheap. When you're too cheap, you're losing out on people that would pay you, that are in that 30% that would pay you, but you're too cheap, and now that you just dropped those off, and that's a problem, and you just lost money. Now, for Christmas lights, this is different. Christmas lights, we're anywhere from 10 to 20%. 10 to 20%. We don't want all the Christmas light customers. When we get lots of Christmas light customers, guess what happened? There's more chance of you falling off of a roof. There's more chance of you burning down a house. There's more problems that could happen. There's more chances of issues that could go wrong. And so this is why we raise our prices, right? And so our average close rate, you know, I see people come in here and they'll have an average close rate of 90%. Guess what? You're losing money. Money's going right out the door. And what I will guarantee you, anybody, I would almost bet, I would almost put money on this for 99% of the people out there, that the top 20% of customers are your highest paying customers by a lot, right? So why are we worried about the 80% and not focusing on the 20%? That is what is going to keep you from not growing your businesses. So and here's the thing, I see a lot of times people are always like, Jason, I don't really care about those. Well, this is what's going to make you grow your business. Because if I know that my average close rate is 32% last week, well, how can I get it to 33%? What more texts can I do? What phone calls can I do? What emails can I do? How can I follow up more? Because most of you, I'm learning, aren't following up at all. And when you're not following up, you're just burning money. And so these are ways that you get your close rate up so that you can get those higher prices, because most of you aren't even answering the phone. I see a lot of people not even answering the phone, and then you wonder why you can't get business. Well, you can't get business because you're not answering the phone. And when you don't answer the phone, guess what? you don't get work. That's just the way it is. And we are in a now. In 2025, we're in a now society. We want it now. If we don't get somebody on the phone now, we're calling the next person, because we know that if I just leave a message for this one guy, the likelihood of him calling me back is zero chance, right? Zero chance. Close rate 25 to 40% sales training, right? How do we get better? Do better sales. Do whatever we need to do it, right? So higher prices may lower volume, right? We're not going to do as many jobs, but that's okay, because we can raise our prices 20%, 15% less jobs, but 25% more profit, right? Profit is the most important part of running a business. I know we're told by everybody that profit is a bad word. I promise you, profit is not a bad word. Profit is a great word, and you should be knowing what profit is. You should be knowing what your profit is, because when you don't know what your profit is, guess what? That's what makes you go out of business. You know, the 80-20 rule, I wish I'd learned that a long time. Wouldn't have been wasted. Wouldn't have wasted, I'm in the way of it, so much time, right? But it's true. The 80-20 rule is so important to understand in every part of business that we do. I promise you, there's so much about the 80-20 rule that you can about do anything in 80-20 rule. 20% of your workers will do 80% of the work, right? 20% of your customers will give you 80% of the money. 20% of your customers will give you 80% of the problems that you have, right? And so this is what you will find out is that 20 is part of the 80%. And so if we cut the top 20, that's what we want. If we cut the bottom 20 and get rid of those customers, we'll get better customers, right? And that's how we're able to grow our business profitably, right? Because that's the most important part, is growing this business with profit. So how do we track it? Well, you can track it with CRMs. Most of you all have CRMs. Most of this will give you this data. You just got to go find it. And when you find it, go monitor it, right? Write it down on a spreadsheet, so that way you can start seeing where you are. Where was you at last year? Where are you at this year? Where are you at for the last 30 days? Where are you at for the last 60 days, 90 days? And get the average, so that way you can see how we can know what we need to do. And we need to monitor these, right? This isn't a once and done or once a year. And yep, last year I had a 675.95 average ticket. Okay, what are you going to do about it? Well, I didn't do nothing about it, because I just found out what it was, right? So that's why I'm telling you this. I'm not telling you this stuff to hurt your business. I'm telling you this so you can grow your business. I want you to grow your business. My whole success when I see people growing business, like when I had my friend hit $1 million, right? I helped him start his business and get it to $1 million in less than 5 years. In 4 years, he was able to go from 0 to $1 million, which is freaking awesome, right? And so that's what I want to be able to help other people do, because that's the important part of growing this business. And if we don't know our numbers, I promise you, if you don't have your thumb on, hey, this is my average ticket, there's some other KPIs, key performance indicators, but these two here really set the flow for everything else that we do. Review weekly, right? If you don't do it weekly, at least do it monthly. And write it down. Because here's the great thing about when you write this stuff down, right? When you write it down, and you put it in a spreadsheet, and you put it in Google Sheets, and you do 2024, and you do the month, the week, and then guess what happens? Then next year, when I go to try to start figuring out what I want to forecast, I can look back and say, all right. And then the other great thing of that is if we get 2-3 years of data, we can look at March and say, wow, that's an amazing month. April, wow, that's an amazing month. May, wow, that's an amazing month. June, wow, that's an okay month. July, that month sucks. August, that month sucks. Jason always said he need to work on my commercial work and put it in that time. Now I can actually see where it goes, whoop, right? And then we can see September, it climbs a little bit, in October, and then if we do Christmas lights, it shoots to the moon, right? And so when we look at our average tickets, when we look at our close rates, and we can compare it from this year to last year, it's going to help your numbers out a lot. I promise you. You'll be able to start looking at different things. So we need to review this weekly. We need to review it monthly. Whatever we need to do it, and then we can adjust it, right? And so if we can adjust it, that is definitely something that we need to be able to do to be able to keep growing our business. And then the next things for growth is set targets, right? Hey, you know what? Last year we were at 6.9%, or we were at $450 average ticket. How do we get it up to $800? And set targets. How do we get it up to 600? How do we get it up to 700? How do we get it up to 800? How do we get our average ticket up? How do we train our team to make sure that they're answering the phone, make sure that they're calling that person back the next day, make sure that they're getting that review, make sure they're doing all of the things that we need to do, make sure that we review our prices, make sure that, hey, you know what, our average ticket or our average close rate is getting up to 60-70%. We need to raise our prices, right? And so this is the importance of why you need to do this. I know this isn't a fun podcast of how to make $1 million, but it is, because this is the first steps to make $100,000, right? If you want to make $100,000, this is your first step to get to how to do this. If you don't know your numbers, will you get to $100,000 and not know this stuff? Yes, you can, because I've got a lot of people that do. But could we get to a lot more? Because we are looking at our numbers. We're tracking our numbers. We know our average ticket. Hey, you know what? My Christmas light average ticket was only $987. What can I do to get it to $1,000? What can I do to get it to $1,500? What can we offer to be able to get there? How can we sell better? How can we follow up? If you don't follow up, you're going to fold up, and that's a given. I promise you. If you don't follow up, you will fold up, because you're leaving so much money on the table. A lot of you have this whole big jobber. You got all of these amazing CRMs. You have all of this amazing stuff, but yet you don't ever follow up with your customers. You don't follow up with the customers that you just gave a bid, and then you don't follow up with a customer that you did last year. You didn't send a text out. You haven't sent no emails out to that person. You haven't sat down and called. And I promise you, I had a guy this year sit there and send text blast out, and he got almost $18,000 worth of work. $18,000 worth of work for this year already, because all he did was send out a $50 text blast to get everybody out there. And so this is the importance of how you grow your business. You know, everybody's like, how do I get new leads, Jason? How do I get new leads? How do you cultivate those old leads? How do we cultivate those customers that already gave you a 5-star review, that love your work? They forgot all about you. You're like, well, Jason, if they need me again, they'll call me. They don't even know who you are. They done forgot about you. They haven't even thought about you. And so this is why it is important that we make sure that we follow up, right? Follow up. It's the most important thing we can do. You know, again, like I said, this is important of why we do this. This is why I'm preaching this, because I know whether it's Christmas lights or pressure washing, it doesn't matter. You can be in any service business. It's so important that we know these two numbers, and so that way we can grow. So what's your all's questions for tonight? If you got anything, let me know. Average ticket. Bearded Soft Wash in the house. How you doing, sir? Difference between profit this year and last year. Do you include unpaid jobs in the average ticket? Yes, I will. Because that's a sold job even if it is not done. Because otherwise it's going to mess up your books probably. Real numbers are 100% of what you have in the end. Your average doesn't match your gross, and jobs math ain't mathin'. 2025, February 10th, 10 jobs done, average ticket so far of $2,000. That's what is my gross. I'm in North Carolina and we can wash all year long. Yeah, last week it was, or 2 weeks ago when I was down there, it was 80 degrees. My closing rate is still 18%. Why? Because I'm not cheap and don't bargain on my prices. And you got an average ticket of $2,000, and you did I think you did almost $250,000 last year by yourself. So you're pretty freaking profitable at the end of it. My close rate, I still at 18%. Why? Because I'm not cheap. I used to live in Charlotte. I'm wishing I was there now, but I guess let's see how I do the rest of the year. Yeah, Denver's a little bit hard for the pressure washing side of things. Now, I will say that because there's not a lot of mold out there. Charlotte, there's a lot of mold. Denver, you better get into window cleaning or something else because Christmas lights do good out there, but pressure washing can be a little bit harder out there because there ain't no mold. Package deals and upsell on site. Customer don't want all you can do if you don't speak up. Right? And this is an important part. If you don't ask the customer for the sale of everything, they ain't going to give it to you. If you pull up to a job and you get the phone call and they're like, yeah, Jason, I would like a house wash. Okay, we'll just give you a house wash price of $600. If I only offer them $600, they are only going to pay me $600. But if I offer them a $600 house wash, and I offer them a $400 driveway cleaning, and I offer them a $300 window cleaning, and I offer them a $500 deck cleaning, I just got the $2,000 average ticket. Now I just went from a $600 house wash to a $2,000 premium price package, right? Now, is everybody going to take that price? No, but is probably, if you do 3 packages, 50% of the people are going to pick the middle package. So that's why it's so important that we do this. Jason has a guy everywhere. Haha, I love it. Well, I've been doing this since 2000. I've been teaching people since 2017, 18 is when I started. So yes, I do have people everywhere. In fact, sometimes I forget where I have people because they come and go and they kind of do their own thing and they don't need YouTube anymore, and I kind of forget about them. But I would say I'm really close to hitting my 1,000 people over $100,000 is what I would say. In marketing, advertising, I spend a lot of time posting and sharing, and I get a lot of word of mouth and referrals. And you know what? In 2025, I'm going to hit on this right here. A lot of people are scared to death to do this right here, right? They're scared to death to do the posting. They're scared to death to go on videos. And in 2025, a brand of yourself is huge. Like, it can be very huge. And so, you know, it takes some guts and nuts to be able to do it. You got to get on camera. You got to be on Facebook and you got to post. But that's how you are able to get up there and get this done. When you spend time, so yeah, exactly. You spend nothing on marketing. Yeah, he spends time on marketing. He spends a lot of time on marketing. So I always say you either spend time or money. Those are the two. And sometimes you spend both, right? If you really want to be successful, you spend both. You spend time and money on it. When you spend time getting your name out there and brand your business, plus you provide quality work, professional service that speak higher volumes, customers talk 100% more than anything else. 80-20 rule. I wish I had learned this a long time. There's actually a great book about this too, if you haven't read the book. I actually haven't read the book. But I've been told there's a great book out there about this. But I do know the principle, and the more I learn about the principle, it still holds true every day. 70% Facebook and 20%, 10% word of mouth, plus a lot see my tiny truck, and I'm all the time wearing my shirt. I've had calls from people saying I seen you at the gas station or Wally World. Haven't been on LinkedIn. You called me on the phone one day, Jason, you told me I need to be at $35 a foot for permanent lighting. I've been waiting for this video all day. In a town of 15,000, today I landed my first permanent lighting job for $21,000. It's not easy, but you can do it. Well, that's pretty awesome. If you got to come down to $25, $30, I would say $30 a foot. I wouldn't come much lower than that. That's where I would probably go, but that's awesome. I'm doing okay, trying to upgrade after my first year. Mr. Barry's pressure washing, out here listening and cleaning some post-construction as you speak. Won't be 32 until midnight, so we got a few hours. P&W is a bit slow. Bearded pressure washing is in my area. Anyone have a template for a bid sheet you can give clients with all your bids on it? I did have one. I don't know if I think I've got a picture of it. Spring is here in South Carolina. That's awesome. When does the pollen start falling for you all? Or when is it done? We don't really have pollen. We don't have pine trees like you all do. What's the best way to get commercial contracts? The best two ways is, number one, go flip rocks, which means go knocking on doors, go talk to people, go meet people. Networking is awesome. So go to the Chamber of Commerce, go to the apartment association, go to anywhere where people are business owners is a great way to do it. And then last is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an awesome way to do it. You can go find them basically the same way. LinkedIn is definitely a huge way of doing it. And then one last way is cold email marketing. If you can find their emails, you can email people, and that's the other way to do it. It's a long game. It ain't a short game, but it is definitely a game that if I was in the business, I would be pushing all commercial. Commercial, if you want to get to 100, if you want to get to $500,000, you want to get to $1 million, commercial is definitely the way to go. You will get, you can do a quarter of the jobs, make twice as much money. I always talk about Benjamin Gregory. Benjamin Gregory did about $1.9 million in 2024. And he went all the way down to South Carolina, from Kentucky, from Cincinnati to all the way down to South Carolina. Can you believe that? To make $60,000 in 1 week. Well, who wouldn't go to drive 10, 15 hours to do $60,000 in 1 week? I would do it in a heartbeat, right? And so that is definitely something that you got to think about. Question, what are 5-arounds? So 5-arounds is if you did this house here, so if you did a house here, the neighbor's house, we are going to go and put a door hanger on. We're going to cross the street. We're going to put 3 door hangers there, and then we're going to come back across the street, and we're going to put a door hanger on the neighbor of the house we did. Now, that's one way to do it after the job's over. Another better way to do it is you go over to the neighbor's house, you knock on the door and say, "Hey, Miss Jones, we're over here pressure washing a neighbor's house, just giving you a heads up in case it's loud. So we should be here about an hour or two, and we'll be done. Here's this door hanger. If you need anything, let me know." And go across the street, do those 3, do that one, and that's a great way to get more jobs, because you're not really selling nothing at that point. But they know who you are. They know that you courteously went over there and let them know that, hey, we should be done in about an hour or two, and then that way they can do that. So that's what a 5-around is. If you're not busy, you do a 10-around, and if you're not really busy, you do the whole neighborhood around, right? And that's how you get jobs. Best coach in the business. I've been following Jason since 2019-ish. Yelp has been blowing up my phone for their ads. Is that something you think I should be doing this year? No, I do not. I have never had someone have great success out of Yelp ads, my personal opinion. So that is definitely something that I would not do. Best way to land commercial. Here's what I would tell you to do. If you want more commercial work, best way to land commercial work, do what Yelp is doing. blowing up these people's phone. You're calling these businesses over and 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 over again. You're going and knocking on these doors over and over and over and over and over and over. If you want to know how to get better commercial leads, right? You want to learn how to get more commercial, then this is what you do. You bug the hell out of people. You call them 100 times and you keep calling them and you keep calling them and you find out who the contact is. And he's not there today. Awesome. I'll call tomorrow and I'll call the next day and I'll call the next day and I'll send an email and I'll send a text, right? This is how we get in front of people. You know, people always want to know. You know, Daniel up here, he posted up here, right? He was calling 25 businesses for Christmas lights in June and July and August and September. He was calling 25 different businesses every day. And guess what? He did a lot. He did very well. He hit way over his goal, right? And so this is the importance of it. That's how you get it. If we just sit there and think, Jason, I want commercial work, but this is all I'm going to do is look at my phone and see where my commercial work is, I'll promise you it ain't going to work. That phone ain't going to ring, right? Well, Jason, I went out and put out 5 signs in one neighborhood. No, all weekend. That ain't going to get you no work, right? Jason, I put out 5 Facebook posts for the month. For the month, you got to do that for the day. That's what you got to do. And it's the reps. And when the more reps you do, the more likelihood you will grow your business. If we just sit there and be like, man, why ain't my phone ringing? I hope my phone rings. Hope gets you nowhere. Hope doesn't do you a bit of good. We can hope all we want. But if you want to get up there and get things going, take the E off and start hopping. Start hopping on this phone and calling people. Start hopping around and knocking on doors. Start hopping on this phone and texting your past customers. That's what's going to grow your business. And you got to do the reps to be able to do it. If we think that, oh, I don't want to do that, Jason, that's hard. That's called business. I never said business was easy. I know there's a lot of people out there will be like, we're going to get you $100,000. You can make $100,000. You ain't got to do nothing. Well, they're lying to you. I promise you. It takes work. It's hard work. Daniel did a lot. He's going to hit $1 million this year. But I promise you, last year, he got up at 9 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, and didn't go to bed till 2 or 3 o'clock in the middle of the night working on everything. His very first year, I was in Dallas, Texas, which we're 2 hours behind. I'm going to bed at 1 o'clock in the middle of the night, and he's there messaging me, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning his time, him working on quotes. Because I never said this was easy. If this was easy, everybody would do it. But I promise you, you can, but you got to make the work. And if you think that this work is just going to come in and just give you everything, it's not. You got to go out there and do the work. You got to go knock on doors. You got to go call people. You got to go spend money and put it Google ads and Facebook ads and anything else that we can do to get out there and get our name out there. And that's what we will grow our business. Pollen pretty soon here, actually. Pollen starts mid-March till mid-April. Yes, sir. 300 feet of lights, 8 sets of Bristow, and 165 feet of ground lighting. Wow, that's a lot. What's your favorite way to wash oxidation off vinyl siding? This is without doing oxidation removal. Don't do it. That's my favorite way of doing it. Oxidation removal sucks. There is no chemical out there like they show that you just spray it on and it magically comes off. Well, I had a guy and he calling me. He's like, Jason, I think I screwed up. I said, what'd you do? He's like, I did what they said on these house. I was like, oh yeah, what'd it do? He's like, the paint's just falling right off the house. I said, is it aluminum siding? He's like, I think it is. He's like, huh. I was like, well, I guess you're getting it prepped for painting is what you're getting ready to do. And he spent 8 hours getting all the paint off the house. And so the guy painted it. He didn't have to paint it, but he got all the paint off the house. I've had another guy, Jason, this stuff that they say you just spray it on, washes off, don't work. I'm like, nope. And he spent 2 days out there with a brush. It looked amazing, but his arms were hurting bad, right? There is no good thing for this here. Yeah, you got Cleanse All BC and you got some of those, but again, there is nothing out there that is amazing for the oxidation. I promise you, there's not. I've heard of, you can X-Jet the BC, Cleanse All BC. I know there's other brands out there that, say that all you do is just spray it on, rinse it off. DJ, my own buddy, my own big old little old buddy, right? He went and did this roof. You just spray it on. It did nothing. I promise you. Zero. Zilch. Thank you for the super chat. What are 5 around or 10 arounds? Yep. Facebook, I didn't know you were up here. Or F-bomb. Talked to the city and got about 25 yard signs back today. Jeez. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Oxidation removal can be tricky. It can go one way or the other. Easy or brushing. It will vary and depend at times. You will have to learn it and understand it. One of the things I will say about oxidation removal is do one section at a time. Don't be doing a whole wall at a time. You will regret it. You will regret it. I got a call from code enforcement for yard signs. They took it down. Yeah. Soft washing a house will oxidate it can oxidate it. Don't stand too close. Stand further back. Make sure you have the right tips. Low pressure. High volume is key. That's why even on a J-Rod, I don't teach you to use the high pressure tips, because I had employees take the high pressure tip and not change the tip to the fan tip, and next thing you know, you had Zorro all over the house. And guess what we got to do? We got to do some good old oxidation removal. It was so much fun. So much fun. I'm definitely going to buy your Christmas light course. Can't wait. Awesome. So I hope you guys learned something tonight. I really do. I want you to take action. I don't want you to just learn stuff. I know people out there that learn a lot, but they never take action. And the most important thing you can do is take action. Take one thing that I teach you tonight and take action. Go find out what your average ticket is. Start tracking your average ticket for this week, for last month, last 3 months, right? And start figuring out, how can I get my average ticket from $652 to $675, right? How can I get my average close rate from 31% to 32%? Because when we start figuring these things out, when we start taking action, I get it, guys. I am not a numbers guy either, and I understand this. I understand it's hard. I understand it takes work to figure this out, but I promise you it will be so much better in the end. Because, the people that I know that track their numbers, most of those people are over $1,000 on an average ticket for a house wash. $1,000 for a house wash. Is that crazy? Yes, that's crazy. Is it doable? Absolutely, it's doable. And so that's the important part of making sure that we are tracking our numbers. I just started out looking to get a contract cleaning dumpster pads for medical facilities, 14 to 15 locations. Should I quote this for them? Absolutely. Because the great thing about that is it's reoccurring money. And so that is another thing that we need to track. I don't want to give too much, but the lifetime value of a customer, right? If we can get a lifetime value of a customer, or that lifetime value of that year up to a couple grand, then it's definitely probably worth it. But I'm not going to do it cheap. I did a Chick-fil-A and I'm like, I'm going to do it. I think I can do it in this time. And I never did get it down to that time. And it took me twice as long, and I made zero money off of the stupid thing. And finally, I just gave it up. I'm like, I ain't doing it no more. I'm losing money to come down here and do it. And so I gave it up. So don't go cheap on it. Make sure you're getting a good fair price on it, so that way it's worth your time going out there and doing those dumpsters. And here's the thing, you get the dumpsters, you might get other things. You might get the buildings, you might get the sidewalks, right? I would give them quotes for everything. Here's what you're wanting. Here's what we can offer. We can do the sidewalks once a year or twice a year. We can clean the building once a year. We want to make sure that it's nice and clean, right? And we're going to give them value. We're value stacking. All I'm doing is trying to value stack. Yeah, we got this and we're going to clean it, but here we can do this and we can do that and we can do this. And now we're going to value stack. And so now we're going to take things off of their plate so they don't have to worry about it. And they got a clean building at that time, and it looks amazing. And so those are things that we can do by value stacking and giving value. And obviously we're charging for it. And that's what we can do to get our average ticket up, because our average ticket of 14 to 15 locations for dumpster pads might only be, let's just say you do them at $100 a piece. Hopefully, let's just say $200 a piece. So that's $3,000 that you do it every time you do it, and you do it quarterly, right? But what if we can do the building? What if we can do the sidewalk? What if we might do the parking lot? Sometimes they got concrete parking lots. What if we can do the parking lots? And so now we're building value. We're showing that we can do all of this, and that is the important part of what we're doing. If you don't speak up to customers, don't know what all you can provide for them. Maybe we talk about the exterior window cleaning. Don't forget to like this live. Yep. Please give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. We only got 11 thumbs up on here. But please give me a thumbs up. But other than that, I hope y'all figure out how to grow your business. I want you all to learn. I want you all to grow your business better. If you want to know more, go check out kingofpressurewash.com. I do a Monday night Zoom call every Monday night. I have my 25 steps to a perfect house wash, getting into a checklist, so that way you're getting your systems down. In there, we give lots of value in there. If you're not into that and you want to do Christmas sites, you can go christmassites.io and check out Christmas sites. I will be having training up. I have the training up, but I don't have the locations up yet, so I don't actually have the paid page up. But I am going to be having 1 or 2 more Christmas or pressure washing in-person classes, and then I will be doing my Christmas. I'll be going to all the Christmas probably like May. So May on will be all Christmas lights and permanent lighting. But for the April class will be Christmas lights and pressure washing. It'll probably be permanent lights and pressure washing. I haven't decided on it yet, but it is definitely something that I want to be able to help you. I need to hire someone to wash my home. Well, if there's anybody in Virginia, reach out to Daniel. Like you said before, fear kills dreams, right? You're afraid to go knock on doors. You're afraid to pick up the phone. What's the worst they're going to say? No? Well, guess what? Every no is closer to a yes. That's the awesome thing about it. But that no is holding you back, and that's what's going to keep your business from not growing. So go pick up the phone. Thank you. Ton of value. This is valuable. Keep it simple. Stop and listen. Customers will speak what they want, and you speak and let them know what else you can add. And that's an important part. I see so many people can't keep their mouth shut. They want to keep talking. There's a statistic out that if the number one sales guys talk like 50%, the number one that didn't get the most sales talked like 80%. He did all the talking. And so you do less talking and let them do more talking, and you will find out what their pain points are. You will find out what you need to do to sell them. And that's the most important part, is how do we sell better? Well, shut up a lot of times. Let them do the talking. They'll tell you what their pain point is. They'll tell you what you need to do to be able to sell them. So with that, I hope you all have an amazing night. What do we got? Is there a script for cold calling Christmas sites? You can do a script, but this is the thing. Daniel always says this here, don't use a script, right? Just go in there and be real, right? And you can have a conversation, and yeah, I can give you a script, but the problem is that you usually get on this blah, 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 versus just kind of build that relationship. That's what you really want to do, is build that relationship. Injection or blend manifold for a beginner. If you're doing pressure washing, I would just do a downstream injector. I wouldn't do a blend manifold for it. If you're doing, because other than that, I would just do downstream injector, because with a 4 or 5 gallon minute pressure washer and a downstream injector, you can do everything except roof washing. You can do concrete, you can do house washing, you can do deck cleaning, you can do everything except a roof clean. And I've downstreamed for years. But it's one thing if you're getting a gas pump, but that's about $6,000 time you get the gas pump, the blend manifold, the remote, all the stuff that goes with it. You're about $6-7 grand versus pressure washer and a downstream injector and a J rod. You can hit lots of points, but ask them a ton of questions. Get to know them on a personal level. I'll send you pictures from Transworld this weekend, Jason. Hope you have a great weekend. Oh yeah, I forgot about Transworld. Is the Halloween Scare Fest there too? If you've never been to Transworld, it is awesome to see. It is a lot of fun. I'm not going to be able to make it this year because it's in St. Louis, and St. Louis kind of sucks. But I've been there a bunch, and there ain't nothing to do. But Transworld was a lot of fun to go to. And it's really neat to see all the different Christmas lights and everything. So other than that, hope you all have a great weekend and or week, and we'll talk at you all later. See ya.